It's the Jim and Terry Show coming to you from the Hobbit Hole studio in Bobcaygeon. I'm one of your hosts, Terry.
I'm the other guy, Jim, and I just heard this great song, Terry, produced by Terry Wigmore, called She Cuts Like a Rabbit Knife.
Yes, a rabbit knife. Keith, if you're listening, Keith Allen from Middlesbrough, England. We had trouble understanding the word ragged, as in a jagged with an R, ragged knife. Cuts like a rabbit
That's
knife.
what it sounded like, rabbit to me. But
it's our Canadian ears.
What can I tell you? All the rest of the song, the vocals were very clear, clearer than normal for me to hear when you guys put your stuff together. So it was clear, but I could read what it was. It cuts like a ragged knife, but it sounded like rabbit.
Oh, ragged steel, I think is the way.
Ragged steel. It cuts like a ragged.
Cuts like ragged steel.
Cuts like ragged steel. I don't want anybody to misunderstand that title.
And maybe at some point we'll talk about music, but let's talk about the intent of that whole exercise, which was to do good.
Doing good's never bad.
Something's self-evident about that truth. I wonder if that's in the American Constitution somewhere. It's never bad to do good.
I told you the story about why I try to be more receptive to people doing good for me. Because of that story I told
Talk to
you.
our listening audience who have
I was in a van with a bunch of very wealthy ministry supporters. They weren't in ministry themselves.
I would call that group CPAC today. That's a Conservative
Okay,
Political
that's
Action
fine.
Committee.
That's fine. I was with the CPAC people. And they were just talking about ministries. And at that time, you remember I had that
giving
show.
money to support.
They give money to support ministries and different things. And they asked me what my ministry was. And I said, well, I don't really have one. I have this show called Power and Praise. And you were on it.
Yes.
You were on that show.
Yes.
And he goes, oh, and he looks around the van and says, I think we should support this guy. And I said, no, I'm fine, thank you. It's appreciated. The typical Jim Sampson stupidity.
No, humility, Jim.
Humility. And so that night, after a big evangelist had spoken, they had it's like a banquet. It isn't really. They just feed staff and everybody. And I was there, a part of it. And one of the wives of the evangelist's supporters came up to me and said, about my husband's offer. And I went, yeah, man, I know. Jeez, I'm sorry. She goes, I don't want you to be sorry. She said, I don't want that. I just want you to learn that you took my husband's blessing away from him. That's how he is blessed. And she said, my advice to you is next time someone offers you money or anything, you take it.
Say yes.
Say yes.
Say yes to the bless.
Say yes to the blessed. Now, I've used that story more than once to convince somebody else that they should receive a blessing.
Now, tie that into our conversation over coffee and pancakes this morning.
Our coffee and pancakes was very generous.
No.
I did receive it with open gut.
No. The story you told while we had coffee.
Oh, I just mentioned that to someone that I invited along for a church dinner, and I just offered a place, and the response first was no, but then I told that story and convinced that person to go. Mm-hmm. So it worked out good. So and I was extremely happy. And it does. Giving makes you happy. It really does. It's something we receive.
Yeah, your story itself about the donors is a little, not suspect, but has a tinge of something other than purity in it. Because they made you, the wife, made you feel guilty.
Yeah.
And I thought,
I think she was trying to help, maybe.
I think she was, but the way the story unfolded,
there's more to that story, eh? Because the next day I was at the Hyatt. I think it was the Hyatt Hotel. Breakfast at a table with maybe 4 or 5 people. One of them being a guy who started up a TV station in Iceland, who received $37,000 from that group of people that day, the day before.
How would your life be different? Wow.
But it made me think. It doesn't mean you have to accept everything, but I've had people, when my marriage broke up, I had people leave me money. Seriously. Like, the pastor would say they wanted you to have it, and I'd go, that's a heck of a lot of money. Who do I thank? Well, just write a letter and say thank you, but I'm not telling you who did it. And I had another person give me a car. So I remember these things when it was down and out. So if someone else hasn't got enough to maybe enjoy those little teeny things, if I can just fork over a little bit of
So these are your lessons in paying it. Well, I would call paying it
paying
forward.
forward, yeah.
Or count the
And
bless. Or
paying it forward's a good thing.
accept the blessing. Yeah. Well, I think it behooves us always to find the lessons. And my point of the wife of that donor was that if whatever message you're doing, guilt is a common Christian element.
Oh,
it
it's
runs through so much of Paul's writings, through the New Testament.
yeah.
It's in there everywhere.
It's in everybody's writings, Terry, if you want to know the truth.
It is, but we're focusing on your context, so it's just Christianity
Well,
and Christian faith, and I'm saying that just to say that
Yeah.
that wife made you feel guilty. That's how I hear the story
yeah.
in your retelling.
Yeah,
and
I-
I'm saying guilt should not be part of a motivating message, even if the motive is to help you learn
I don't
and
know.
change.
To tell you the truth, I don't know if I felt guilty. And I definitely don't think she wanted me to feel guilty. I think what she wanted me to do is see the bigger picture.
Yes.
There's more to this than someone just offering you money.
Yes.
There's more to it.
That's right.
And
There are all kinds of strings.
Yeah, try to grasp. I think that's what she meant. It's a long time ago now, so I don't know exactly. But yeah, we do. I mean, I had a friend the other day because I've been doing very well with all of this.
Congratulations.
and
Weight
that-
loss plan.
And that person didn't mean to, but deflated my efforts in about a second.
Wow. It took that
and-
long?
Well, yeah, it was just bang. So okay.
Two words?
Yeah. Well, I.
You don't look any different.
Well, because what I have said is I haven't quit anything. I've cut back or I've stopped.
Yes.
But it don't mean I can't. And if I decide all of a sudden I want a bag of chips, by George, I'm going to have a bag of chips.
Yeah, so you are not on a diet
I'm
per
not on a
se.
diet.
You're not on a restrictive program or health regimen per se. You are simply becoming aware of what you do actually choose to consume.
Yeah, and I think it's just a lifestyle change, as they've told us all our lives. That's what it really takes, a whole different frame of mind. You don't really need that bag of chips sitting beside you day and night, calling your name, and you don't. They're absolutely right. You can
And yet
make
we've
those
lived
decisions.
most of our lives believing we do.
But if you're out and there's a bowl of chips, you can grab 5 of those chips and eat them and not feel like I broke a diet. You didn't break anything,
Or a New Year's resolution, maybe you broke that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm very pleased with it. But in a couple of words, bang, like you, oh, no, you said you quit. I said, no, I didn't say I quit. You told me you quit. Okay, I said I quit. But I didn't mean that. I said,
Okay.
I'm cutting out things in my life. Doesn't mean I can't bring them back. I've not quit anything.
So they were confused by your messaging
Yeah.
about your
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
attitude.
Yeah.
It sounds like,
no, but they came across like you have failed.
yeah,
You
well,
have just failed.
that's shaming
and
you.
not only have you failed you failed me who
Well,
put my
that's-
belief in your faith.
Actually, that's true because it does ripple outward from
I
that.
don't know if that's true, but I mean,
I think it's true, and that's a message of how to live and say and pay it forward in ways that do not negatively affect people. So you were destroyed by that, but you told me,
Yeah.
whatever the tone was.
I wasn't destroyed. I just thought, could there never just be a time of just positive?
Well, you gave the illustration of
Yeah.
deflated
Yeah, yeah.
instantly in a
Yeah, yeah.
second.
Yeah.
So that's pretty devastating.
Well, yeah, but people can do that, and
I know they can. The question is, why would you choose that?
I don't know if they choose it. Like you said,
Oh
you,
my
you were
gosh.
mentioning Christians.
Yeah.
Christians have can have a habit of sort of a righteous confrontation, if you want, not knowing all the ins and outs of anything. So we got to be careful that we're very, very come across understanding and not judgmental. Even the scripture says, if someone has gone astray, gently bring them back.
Why is
it
the
doesn't
word-
say boom, hit
Why
them in
is
the
the
head.
word gentle missing from most of those translations?
Well, but it misses this is
Yeah.
the biggest thing about probably all religions. Get back to the source and what was being said and the attitude we're supposed to have towards one another, that kind of thing. But okay, I don't know why it all ended up on me here.
Well, because that's where we started at breakfast. So we're on a timeline here. We're retelling
Yeah,
a day.
yeah.
So I shared with you 2 stories that meant something, that were good,
Yeah.
that impact. And they're all to do with communication and the way we communicate, which is why I was focusing on the wife of the patron, the donor, and the guilt that seemed to fall upon you from that. And I'm challenging that as a communication strategy. That's manipulation. It's in all kinds of faith traditions. It's in everybody where you guilt somebody into doing something. But my story was one of positive encouragement. One about that song that you were talking about, and we can revisit that. But it's about passing on, for you and I, part of our, what do you call it, when a heritage, something that we're passing on to our children. Part of that is what we did with our lives, and part of that, a big part of it, is music. And so when people come alongside and hear our music and are fascinated by it, intrigued by it, but excited and agitated and animated and speak in glowing terms and give you all kinds of accolades, that's a whole new level of, gee, I must be doing something right.
Yeah.
And so that was the first story from Keith Allen in Middlesbrough, and his son, who he said doesn't usually, because we do some strange, bizarre stuff, doesn't usually enjoy our music.
Oh, he's younger too.
We're creative, and he's in his own genre, true. So to hear his son suddenly switch gears and be supportive in such positive terms to his father, that was worth sharing. So Keith sent me the email to share that. And the second one was a contact from a former student. And I'm thinking of that plaque there, teachers plant seeds that grow forever. And we'll talk about the extension of that, because I believe it's not teachers, it's everybody all the time with words and deeds. But this one was a contact through my Wix website, which has a contact information page, and a former high school student, and one particular course that I really only taught for 2 or 3 seasons before I left that school. So the school was Markham District High School, and that was a class of modern Western civilization, which talks about European history, which is strangely relevant to today's problems with immigration, with Islam, with jihadis, with Hamas, and the violence that's going on in London, and the number of protesters who say from the river to the sea, and intifada. And that's in modern Western civilization in terms of Christianity being the driving force towards democracy. And although I have come to accept Enlightenment and philosophy as being part of that tradition too, this student wrote to say he's now advising his daughter, who's entering high school, take humanities courses, learn about world history, and maybe that'll lead on into Putin and Ukraine.
It's got to make you feel good, Terry.
It does. Teachers plant seeds, but you do too, my friend. Jim and Terry Show signing off. Bye-bye.